I wonder if this is a choice. I mean, I presumably want to talk to both of them regardless. I mean, like, Lula's the one we're looking for. Oh, they're both talking anyway. You really did go deeper into the caves. Well, you were easy enough to find. I've met a few of your former assistants. One can't help but hear things. But this is what became of our project. Oh, I've made some additions. Joseph stole the data tapes for the first half, so I've had some blank spots to fill. Yes, I know. He published his version, actually. I'm sorry to report that it's a bit tediously sentimental. We've been looking for you. So you found the address data? Just pass it over to Donald here. Donald, will you be a dear and crunch these numbers? We're looking to sort out a street collision. Dogwood Drive. Wasn't the Bureau going to process it? I insist. I have cycles to spare. I'll just pack my pipe and get to it. Should only be an hour or so. Andrew will carry it over too. I'll be at the Bureau for the rest of the night. Just mark it, private materials for the attention of Senior Clerk Chamberlain. How do we get to the Bureau from here? The bridge. Yes, the bridge. To the gate over there. Now we, too, recede into history. Good, too. Good night, Donald. Meet me at the Bureau, and we'll get you on your way. Head counterclockwise to the cathode ray, then turn around, and it's just clockwise till you find the Bureau. Between us, I think you should drive. Counterclockwise to the cathode ray. Alright. I'm about ready to get out of this particular screen at this point. We've been here for a while. The slow spinning wears you down eventually. Even though it's a beautiful location. I wonder how many similarities there may be between the Hall of the Mountain King here and the Hall of the Mountain King and in The Witness, visually. All on a quest to find someone that we basically started the chapter with anyway. Or last chapter? When did we last see Lula? Someone has left a portable tape recorder on the path. It doesn't appear damaged, but there's no tape to play or record. A bookshelf was carried only part way up the path here before the project was abandoned. It's still useful. The peak of the spire is crowded anyway. A sensible, modern electric lantern is left here. The batteries have long since died. Could that be the lantern from the story? Right, you guys just stayed down here for like, I feel like 2 hours, right? Thanks for waiting, Blue. What have you been doing? Keeping Johnny here company? It's funny how it feels like a parallel to... Because you kind of speak into a vacuum, and nothing seems to come of it. Your little talks with Blue feel like composing a haiku in Ghost of Tsushima. Almost a meditative practice. What happened up there? I'm actually not sure. They're mysterious, man. Aw, it's your blue, who also stays at the car. I can appreciate that even the characters in the game are not entirely sure what's going on. This is to go counterclockwise to the cathode ray. Well, let's go to the anchor or the scarecrow. If I can. I still have these directions I haven't been able to follow up on yet. There's the cathode ray. We're gonna ignore that. See if I can get away with anything else. Children. About a dozen children are gathered in a shallow, dry basin to the side of the road. They're seated in overturned pots and pans arranged in 3 configurations. One group of 5 children are clustered to the right. One group are arranged loosely in the center. All facing an older girl who sits on 3 pans stacked together. The boy at the head of the arrangement looks sternly down on another child. A younger boy kneeled on the stone floor without a pot to sit on. A spare stock pot, perhaps belonging to the younger boy, is set to the side. Stand next to the younger boy? The older girl nods solemnly to Ezra. The older girl takes a wide green leaf from the floor next to her and pretends to read off a list of charges. The younger child is accused of making agreements for trading card exchanges which he was not able to honor. The judge asks for a witness to testify. A boy describes the participants and events depicted on the trading cards he was to receive and makes related claims about the defendant's nature. Ezra is prompted to argue on behalf of his client. Claim mistaken identity. Ezra makes a case for mistaken identity. The judge invites the jury to examine the defendant more carefully. The defendant slyly rearranges his hair. The jury is sequestered a few feet away and returns with a verdict of not guilty. The groups of children reconfigure themselves and a new trial begins, with the former defendant now as a judge. Huh. Ooh, let's get some music in here, in my creepy dimension. Aw, they don't work down here. It's like a swarm of bees crossed with a brass section. The radio offers no comfort. Not in the Zero. Anchor Scarecrow, come on. Yeah, I went too far. Yeah. The cathode ray said it was going to take us back to the bureau, so I guess that is how the Zero works. You want to reset back to the bureau in order to follow any directions. So I still want to go there anyway, just not click on the bureau. It's a real particular system. The sprocket. The anchor. Oh, it said clockwise to anchor and clockwise to scarecrow. Now I go counterclockwise. So I'm also a fool. Now we're going to the whirlpool. That was the anchor, right? Yeah, so we're going to the boat. Two figures crouch over a pile of wood a few yards from the creek, occasionally hammering or making adjustments. Junebug pulls the bike closer to the creek. What looked from the road like a haphazard pile of wood is actually a worn boat. It's in poor repair. Perhaps it was abandoned and only recently salvaged. Johnny shouts a greeting. There is too much work to be done. Rotten planks need to be pulled and replaced. Nails need to be driven. Gaps caulked. Johnny switches on the field recorder. The recorder's red light flips on with a thrum. The take-up reel rolls forward silently for a moment before catching tape and beginning the recording. One of the figures stops working, sets down a caulk gun, and looks over at Johnny. The other finishes tearing at a bit of rotten wood stuck to the hull, then turns. After a minute or two, Johnny stops the recorder. File that one under water sounds. The buoy. Looking for a whirlpool or a bat feeder. I think we went to that was the anchor, right? Yeah, there's the whirlpool. Spooky. Is this gonna be bad news for me? Propeller. Rust archives. The Rust archives are housed in a low wooden building with angular flourishes and glass. Shannon enters alone, walking up a shallow ramp and through glass doors. A young woman seated in a wheelchair staffs the front desk. She smiles politely. Two folders are stacked on the desk, an orange one labeled Wheat Tree, Mexico City, VAM Station Wagon, 1974, another one labeled Wheat Tree, Elizabethtown, Kinetic Sculpture, 1968. Pick the Kinetic Sculpture, let's do green one. The woman at the front desk gestures to an unlabeled door in the back of the room. Shannon enters, switching on a lamp at a desk inside the small room, and sits down with the green folder. Inside the folder are 3 clear plastic bags containing muddy brown flakes of various sizes and hues. Each sample is numbered, with corresponding one-sheet documents interleaved. Wait, it's literally an archive of rust. Examine the first sample. The sample was taken from the sculpture's base, and is the smallest of the 3. The accompanying text explains that the base was made up of a cheap stainless steel. It resisted decay, but not entirely. Shannon reads about the second sample. The sample's made up of dozens of small flakes and was taken from a chain-link fence that surrounds the sculpture. The text speculates that the material making up the fence could not have been seriously intended to protect anyone or anything. It was too weak to be anything but decorative. Shannon reads the third sample. This sample was taken from a garbage can near the sculpture. The accompanying text describes this kind of metal garbage can, its common use in institutional settings, and its resilience against air conditioning, discarded carbonated drinks, and other institutional hazards. Air conditioning? Shannon returns the folder to the front desk. Let's look at the orange one. The VAM station wagon from 1974. Inside the folder are 3 clear plastic bags containing muddy brown flakes of various sizes and hues. Each sample is numbered with corresponding one-sheet documents interleaved. Shannon reads about the first sample. The sample was taken from the hood of the station wagon. The text speculates that a tree under which it was parked. The decayed oak leaves found stuck on windshield wipers, pools of dew that had accumulated in dents. The second sample was taken from the passenger side door. The text describes some variance in oxidation and age, evidence that the station wagon was involved in a minor accident, and a part of the door repaired and painted over. Third sample was taken from the gas tank. Given the relatively small amount of rust accumulated here when compared to the rest of the car, the accompanying text concludes that the station wagon was returned to use after being abandoned for some time. So it sat around and it rusted up and then got back to being used, and the rust cleared from the gas tank. And then leaves the rust archives. What in the world? What even is the motivation? I guess people really do just do whatever they feel like around here. Guess we should turn around to the anchor. Rust archives. Now we're looking for a scarecrow. But I'm supposed to be finding the scarecrow by going clockwise. Whoops. Just like the last one, I don't really remember what I'm looking for. Or if that was even established. Wow, this still is all that's here, huh? Maybe I need to go back to the cathode array first? The barrel run. The cave wall is uncommonly flat here. A tall ladder leans against the wall. At the top, a small figure taps away at something. Junebug pulls the bike next to the ladder. The woman at the top of the ladder seems unperturbed, focusing on her work. Johnny switches to a telescopic lens. She has a pile of small, brightly painted clay tiles next to her on the ladder. She sticks each one to the wall with some kind of mortar or glue, inspects it, then taps gently at the edges with a small hammer until it is fixed in place. She's only a few dozen tiles along. Too early to guess what kind of image might be taking shape. This recording could go in the arts and artists drawer. Gotta get back to the main layer. I guess I need to follow the cathode ray, because I did see that earlier. Cathode ray is gone now. It doesn't show up when I go this way anymore. Man. Route 0 can be really confusing to process on how to get around. You just get stuck and you're like, what layer am I on? What is my exit? I'm not sure. Someone's just making wall art somewhere. We showed up at the wrong time. That's a familiar sense. Just around the country. And I feel like every town you live in, there's always some part that's like in progress. That you're never going to see in its intended form in your lifetime. Or while you're there, more specifically. You're going to move on. And probably forget about the project. And never check in again to see what it looks like when it's done. Not necessarily art either. Roads, housing developments. When I lived at Marty's place, there was just this constant visual of construction paused. And it had pretty much been paused since before I even arrived, and it didn't really even start going anywhere until around the time I was leaving suddenly he was like, well, actually, we are gonna go somewhere with this. It's like, oh, well, sure took your sweet time. Didn't see any progress the whole time I was here. And now I'm gonna miss it. Okay, what? Let's wait. Ah, now it's a barrel run. No, back to the still, I guess. Here. I'm trying to get back to a layer that makes sense. Am I trapped? There's a still and there's a bottle, and I think a barrel run also might be alcohol related. Are they going for a metaphor here about the alcoholism of my protagonist and how he's driving? Am I currently incapable of getting back to the correct path without pursuing alcohol? Oh, Jesus. Well, that's grim. Wow, this is a really wide open cave. The anchor. Wait, no, the anchor's what I did last time, I think. Looking for the scarecrow. Man, yeah, they only gave me alcohol options and they wouldn't let me go anywhere until I did them. I think that might have been why they said to let... Why she might have told Shannon that she should drive. Because I think if you hit the Z's, I think we did that once before, right? Scarecrow. If you hit the Z's, I think Shannon drives and then you end up at the bureau. Now we're looking for a bat feeder. I kind of want to see a bat feeder. Bats are neat. The Account Resolution Center is several hundred feet above the ground, precariously supported by a dozen metal pipes. The wires of a pulley system run down from a hole in the floor. A thin rope dangles next to them. Shannon tugs on the rope a few times. After a few still moments, the pulley wires grind into operation and a metal bucket slowly descends. While she watches the bucket approach, Shannon's mind wanders. She thinks about Weaver. She wonders if Weaver is down here somewhere on the Zero, and what she might say about it. Probably something about its topology, its knotted surface. She remembers a puzzle Weaver enjoyed as a teenager, about bridges and islands. Move between the islands, crossing each bridge once, and only once. Weaver filled sketchbooks drawing these islands and bridges from memory, trying different routes. Eventually she moved on to other puzzles. Had she solved it? Given up? Or maybe she'd just drawn those bridges and islands so many times she no longer needed paper and pencil to work on it. The pulley stops abruptly as the bucket reaches shoulder height. Inside is a handwritten note. Regrettably indisposed, please call again. Let's go ahead and take a nap. Oh, so Shannon was already driving, so there goes my metaphor idea then. Huh. But yeah, that was mostly a chance for Shannon to be introspective, because we went all this way to find someone, and they're busy. Come again another day. Probably won't. I'll cross out the anchor. And I'll write busy, question mark, with the scarecrow and bat feeder, to hint at the idea that maybe we'll come again. Such plentiful notes. Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. We've looked around for a while. Let's get back to the bureau. My goal. The Bureau of Reclaimed Spaces. Whoa. Okay, now I'm seeing more of her hair and stuff. For a second there I thought that she had switched to just being completely just a mechanical head. Like she was just all gray. But it's because her hair is all asymmetrical, so if she get it at just the right angle, you only see the exposed head. And nothing else. It's so completely uncommented on. The game, like, you just sort of realize you have two robots in your party and you're not sure why. It's always just long enough that you think she's not coming. Ah, Lula's here. Here you are. Marianne has the rest of the evening off, so I'm minding the desk. Nice place. It is, isn't it? Sometimes I forget. The acoustics in here have a way of grinding one down. Not a fan of the organ guy? The results just came in by courier. Good news. Donald and his assistants were able to sort through the noise. I had Rick cross-reference the results against some of our records. He found a corresponding mail stop on the Echo River route. As it happens, the night ferry is scheduled to make its stop here shortly. The ferryman carries the mail and collects the garbage as well. I'm sure you can catch a ride out that way. You're welcome to wait here. I have to get packing. Are you going somewhere? I might. I'm feeling impulsive, and I'd like to be ready. Maybe back to Mexico. It's been years. They still have one of my sculptures in a museum down there, did you know? Big, ugly iron thing. Time to have it scrapped anyway. Safe travels. Try and stay out of the water. It's colder than it looks, and deep. Ah. Stay out of the water. It's deeper than it looks, too. It's always a strong discouragement for me. No thank you. Could go look around, I guess. The roaches appear to be gone. I actually can't go over here. Down here? No? How long do we have to wait? Oh, who knows? Alright, what happened? Up to you. It's okay. You can tell them. It doesn't matter anymore. Fine. So, we were in that graveyard. Are they just gonna tell each other? Oh, am I gonna play it? I'm gonna see what happened. Where'd the strangers come from? That's ominous. Well, this can't be right. Looks like an old church. Worth a look inside. I guess. I want to stay outside. Why? I think I saw a lizard. I'll stay with them. Okay, we'll make it quick. They were pretty quick too. They had a little chat about individuality and realness. The church floor It's cold metal, scuffed and flexed by unknown boot heels. This is where the still is. A handmade apparatus for the production of moonshine, assembled from scavenged metal and natural materials. So much for we'll make it quick, huh? Just go straight to sitting down. I don't know what I expected. The strangers, he kept saying. Kind of vague already, isn't it? Donald's a stranger. Hell, you and I are practically strangers. Listen, earlier, in the mine, I didn't want to talk about it, but... What did you find down there? When I saw Weaver, she was on TV. I was testing a pretty simple tube repair, flipping through channels to check the saturation, and she was just there. It was kind of horrible. I mean, I told you she disappeared? Suddenly? Ran away? But we thought... You thought she was dead? Yeah. I guess I don't like to say it. Dead. And then, the next time I flipped to channel 2, Weaver. It's burned in my vision now. She's standing in a room. The walls are blank, kind of gray. There's tape on the walls, like markings and desks. A classroom, maybe? The camera is in the corner, so it's this sort of 45-degree angle into the room. And there's Weaver right in the center of the picture. I stopped turning the dial. Hell, I think I stopped breathing. Eventually, she spoke, but there was no real sound. Just this awful hum. I read the closed captions. She said to go to the mine. I'd find something there. I can't remember her exact words. Whenever I try, I get distracted. Fuzzy. Shannon coughs into her sleeve. It's so dusty in here, right? Yeah, real dusty. You'd think with all these holes in the ceiling... What the hell was that? Did you hear that? Must have been the church settling. More like must have... Oh! Yeah, that would interrupt a sentence, wouldn't it? Oh yeah, no worries, just having a normal one at the Mo.